Hey folks, my name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I saw this video of Matt Gaetz on The View that I want to kind of play and respond to. So if you don't know who Matt Gaetz is, he's a Republican House representative from Northern Florida, and he is essentially everything that I dislike about Republicans. He's a lying, thieving, slimy snake oil salesman. He's like basically like a guy that should be selling used cars, scam artist kind of dude who somehow managed to like bullshit his way into getting elected, into the fucking Congress. And he's just one of these people who's like too stupid to know when he's wrong, but smart enough to know how far to push it, and is very, very good at manipulating people. And his whole thing is that he's basically a Trump loyalist. He really, really wants to jump on that MAGA gravy train. And I think it's because one day he wants to run for president. He's deluded enough to think that he could fucking actually win the presidency, and he wants to capture, the Trump people, Trump's base. So when Trump eventually leaves office in shame in a couple of years, hopefully next year, he wants to be able to tap into that for himself. So he's basically trying to recreate Trump's success, and not very well, because the guy's a fucking snake. Anyway, he went on The View here, to talk to Joey Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and Meghan McCain and whoever this other third person is right here. I don't know who that is. Because I never watch The View. I don't give a shit about The View. But I do watch clips of The View online and stuff, because sometimes there's some interesting political commentary from the guests they have on. Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez went on there the other day, and that was interesting to see. Yeah, so basically, Matt Gaetz goes on The View and just makes a fucking ass of himself. But like I said, he's not smart enough to know that that he's making a fool of himself online. And to be honest, Trump's base is probably stupid enough to eat this shit up anyway. And they probably think that this was a resounding success. And this guy is like an example of an elder fucking statesman. So, yeah, we're going to watch this and make some comments. And for those, you guys, The View, the people that own it, this is fair use. So me commenting over the video is 100% fair use. So pretty pleased with sugar on top. Don't give my my channel a strike there. We can work it out. Anyway, without ado, let's get going.
I do watch you guys make news every week.
Every day. We are the big political show.
I was just wondering if you were wearing black as a consequence of like the death of the political left in the debate last night. It was quite something to observe.
Don't count the dead yet, the bodies. Let's give it a little time before we count.
Well, Joe Biden at least. I mean, I was hoping that maybe Whoopi's bell could wake up the Biden campaign if you hit it.
I thought he was actually, he didn't do any harm to himself last
What
night.
state's he going to win? I mean, this is a man who,
wait,
the fundamental premise of the Biden campaign is that he's electable and he can't seem to win elections. So now you have socialist Bernie Sanders against billionaire Michael Bloomberg.
Yeah. Well, the Republican.
First off, look at that smug ass piece of shit right there. Look at his fucking face. I mean, have you ever seen a more punchable face? Maybe Ted Cruz. I don't know. But yeah, you notice he just cracked 3 jokes in a row and nobody laughed. Okay? But look at his face. He thinks that he nailed it. That's Matt Gaetz in a nutshell right there. A guy that's, I don't know. He thinks he's doing fantastic here. He thinks that the people at home are rolling in the fucking, rolling on the floor, laughing their asses off. Right? And if they're laughing, they're really laughing at him. That was, I don't know. Don't try to be funny. Just some advice for politicians in general, not just Republicans, but any politician. Don't be funny, okay? Because we don't give a shit about your personality. We don't care about you, all right? it's not about you. It's about what you can do for us, because we are electing you to represent us, not to crack fucking jokes, not to go on The View and try to be a fucking comedian. Okay, if you want to be a goddamn comedian, then go be a comedian. Go to some fucking open mic night and tell your stupid fucking jokes there, so nobody can laugh at you there in the right fucking venue. All right, don't waste our time. Then why is this motherfucker on The View anyway? Why is this guy going on TV? He's supposed to be a goddamn, congressman. Doesn't he have shit to do? It's like, shouldn't he be like out there drafting laws and reading legislation and voting on shit instead of going on fucking TV to like stroke Trump's ego? There were some. I mean, if you don't know Matt Gaetz, he's basically like, he wants to be, Trump's lapdog, like really, really, really fucking bad. And that's probably why he's on TV here, because he, wants to get back into Trump's good graces. There was some shit that happened a little while ago where he voted for a, House resolution to restrict Trump's ability to, initiate military action against Iran. Basically, he voted against the thing saying that Trump couldn't invade Iran anytime he wanted to. And then when the impeachment happened, he really, really, really wanted to be on Trump's legal team. He wanted to be one of the lawyers to like defend Trump, because like I said before, I think really he wants to get that shit on his resume, so that when he tries to run for president in like 8 years or something, he can bring that up and say, see, I was on the Trump train since the beginning and all that shit. And they wouldn't let him on. They kicked him off. And there's the speculation is that he wasn't allowed on the legal team because he voted for that, resolution, that anti-Iran resolution. So now, what's he doing now? Now he's gone all over the place on TV and shit, kissing Trump's ass, because he knows Donald Trump watches a shit ton of TV. And he knows right now, look at his face. He knows Donald Trump is probably going to see this, because all Donald Trump does is watch TV all fucking day. When he should be actually working. I mean, actually, thank God he only watches TV. We'll get into that a little bit later. But anyway, I don't know. Just so fucking smug. It's like, how does somebody like this get elected anyway? I don't know.
Because love a billionaire, they love money. So what are you talking about?
Well, Michael Bloomberg used to be a Republican. It's fascinating
no,
that right now the Democratic Party is likely not going to nominate a Democrat. They're either going to nominate a socialist or someone who some time ago was a Republican.
Well, let's talk about...
None of them. I don't think any of them are going to beat the president. I think we have a raging economy right now. The American family is seeing revenue pour in as a consequence of higher wages, more productivity, more business investment, more capital coming from overseas into our nation.
Donald Trump was a Democrat first.
He was. We've all sort of been politically square dancing for a while, and I think that we're in a time of real political realignment.
Okay, first thing, a lot to unpack there in that little bullshit diatribe that he just went through. First thing where he said that the Democrats are about to have a candidate who is not actually a Democrat, right? Well, first off, Bernie Sanders was always a Democrat, okay, like for like 50 years, all right? There's actually photos of him like getting arrested in civil rights marches along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., okay? So he's been very consistent in his beliefs and is a political affiliation for years and years and years. And not just him being a social, justice advocate, right? Because, that term social justice warrior didn't exist back then. Okay, he's been someone who's been, fighting for the rights of people, the downtrodden and the oppressed for, a generation, shit. I mean, talk about being consistent in your fucking beliefs. All right, but besides that, he's also been a very, loyal Democrat also. 2016 rolls around, the Democratic establishment basically screws him out of the nomination. At least a lot of people think so, right? And did he turn around and badmouth Hillary Clinton? No. He went on and he, campaigned for her, okay? Right? He campaigned for and he raised money for other Democrats in the down ticket and for Hillary Clinton, even after he lost the nomination, because he understood that even she was a better choice for the country than Donald Trump, right? And that's, He worked for, even he did make it, he worked hard. He did make it for whatever reason, whether that reason was legit or not, right? That's besides the point. He turned around and then he like dedicated his efforts back into the party. Okay, so he is a Democrat. Okay, he's a part of the Democratic Party. He's not some loose fucking like parasite like Michael Bloomberg who just attached themselves to the party. See, Michael Bloomberg is different. All right, Michael Bloomberg is basically a Republican. He's only running as a Democrat so that he can oppose Trump. And he doesn't really give a shit about any of the core democratic values, that that Bernie Sanders believes in. He doesn't believe in any of that shit. He doesn't give a fuck about racism or like, trying to get health care or free college or any of that shit. He doesn't fucking care. But like Michael Bloomberg is running for one reason and one reason only. He wants to cut taxes. He doesn't want the kind of social programs that people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and, Ilhan Omar and the rest. He doesn't want to have to pay for those programs. And he knows that they're coming. He knows that if somebody like Bernie Sanders becomes president, then there's a good chance that some form of these social programs will be passed, whether or not it'll be the 100% free college or the Green New Deal or some variation of that. Most likely, even if Bernie Sanders does get elected, becomes president, we're still not going to get exactly 100% of everything he wants. I hope people out there realize that even if he does become the president, that doesn't mean the next day, universal health care. No, it doesn't work like that. We may get some variation of it. We may get some watered down variation of it, but it'll be progress, and that's the best you can hope for. It'll be immeasurably better than what we got going on now. But anyway, he knows that it's coming, and he knows that within, pretty soon, people like Bernie Sanders, I'm talking about Michael Bloomberg now. Michael Bloomberg knows it's coming. This kind of change is coming, and he knows that pretty soon people like Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders will not be considered loonies. Yeah, they will not. They're quickly becoming the new, left. Their politics is defining what the left actually is, right? And they're not going to be wackaloons in the next election. Okay, and each election after that, he knows that the party is shifting left, and he wants to head that shit off at the pass. He wants to get in there so that he can like prevent himself from paying for these things. That's his only motivation, right? Why else would someone who has like, how much money does Michael Bloomberg have? Like $50 billion, something ridiculous like that. Why would he give a shit about being president? He's got all the fucking money in the world, right? So why does he care about being president? Because he wants, there's one reason and one reason only, to get more fucking money. Sorry, if you hear cats and shit meowing in the background, it's because my cat's over there and it wants me to play with it. It's because I'm talking. If I wasn't talking, the cat would shut up. Quiet. Anyway. So that's the first point I wanted to talk about there. God, there's a lot of bullshit to unpack in this. Second point where he said that he doesn't think any of them could beat Trump. That's bullshit. All of the Democrats can beat Trump, right? All of them can. Now, whether in a head-to-head matchup currently they poll beating Trump or not, I don't know. But Bernie Sanders in particular, and Joe Biden actually have consistently polled higher than Donald Trump over the last 3 years. Consistently, especially Bernie Sanders. Now, now being ahead in a poll and actually winning an election are different things, obviously, as we found out in 2016, right? That doesn't mean that he might actually win. And there's a very, very, very good chance this time that Donald Trump wins the election. It's very rare for an incumbent president. If you look at the last, 50, 60 years of elections, it usually goes back and forth. 8 years Democrat, 8 years Republican, 8 years Democrat, back and forth. It usually does that, and it's very, infrequent that you get a one-termer like, George Bush the first, right? And if you look at that particular case, like George Bush the first, first George Bush really only got elected because Ronald Reagan was so popular, and that wasn't a reflection on his own popularity. It was on the reflection of Ronald Reagan's popularity. It's very rare for that to happen. There's a very, very high probability Donald Trump gets reelected, mainly for that fact alone, that people tend to reelect the incumbent president, right? So, it's going to take a lot to defeat his ass, right? Bernie Sanders is one of those people that might actually do it. That reason being that the reason why Donald Trump got elected, more so than, racism and all that other shit, and like, you know, really the reason that he got the support of independents in his election, which got him elected, was because of economic uncertainty, right? And a lot of people out there, since the crash of 2008, never really recovered. A lot of places out in this country are hurting pretty bad, factories that closed that never came back, jobs that left that never recovered. People who have had to like stop doing the job that they've been doing for 25 years and find something else. And whatever they can find, they're not qualified for it because they've been doing the same shit for 25 years. That that really hit hard in a lot of places, in places like Michigan. Okay, places, those swing states that actually gave Trump the election. Trump only really won the election by 70,000 votes or so, spread out among like 3 different swing states, right? And the main reason is because those places were hit pretty hard. They were hit pretty hard in that, in our fucking mini depression, which really should have been called a depression and not a recession, right? And people voted for whoever they thought could bring that back. They say, okay, well, the status quo isn't working. Here's a guy, he's a businessman, right? He's got ideas. He might be an asshole, but, he's an outsider and he's going to fuck up the system, and maybe he'll actually like get some shit done and bring my job back, right? That's why people voted for him. Well, it's been, almost 4 years now, going on 4 years, right? No jobs. Okay, those people are in the same fucking spot, and in a lot of places it's even worse, because we just had 3 years of Donald Trump's stupid fucking trade war with China. A lot of places that managed to weather that, economic downturn are hurting pretty fucking bad right now. Okay, and when you don't have a job, right, you tend to like get angry over things like, your president being a racist piece of shit, right? That kind of suddenly becomes something that people start to care about, because, it's because economic uncertainty exasperates all of the problems. So now, now Donald Trump has essentially lost his hometown advantage, and the outsider candidate is Bernie Sanders. So basically, there is a very good chance that he gets reelected, but, there also is a very good chance that he's going to lose, because he doesn't have that kind of like, outsider status anymore, right? So yeah, anyway, he thinks nobody can beat him. No, he very well can lose. This, and just keep in mind when you see people like Matt Gaetz say shit like that, he's just repeating Republican talking points, right? This is not shit that he thought up himself. Okay, this is all like, you'll notice that you'll get the same talking points from him than from all the other politicians, from Mitch McConnell, and then also media figures like fucking, all the Fox News people, right? They're all gonna say, Sean Hannity, shit like that. They're all gonna say the same fucking thing. They all stay on message. The right wing is very, very good in this country on staying on message.
Let's talk about your boss for a second, because yesterday.
Well, my boss are the people of Northwest Florida.
Yeah, okay. So yeah.
All right, that was fantastic, by the way. I don't know if you caught that. She's like, let's talk about your boss. Talk about Trump. He goes, my boss is the people of Northwest Florida. She goes, yeah, okay. Yeah, see, she knows, all right? Everybody knows that he wants to be Donald Trump's, like, little lackey, Like, you ever watch those old gangster, like, cartoons? Like Spider-Man, like from the cartoons from, like, the 60s, where, like, Spider-Man will see some, like, stereotypical gangsters, and there'll be like the mob boss who kind of looks like Al Capone, and he'll have like a guy behind him who's like a big, like, stupid looking dude. His name will be Smalley or Mongo or something. And then there'll be another guy who's like a little kind of thieving, conniving little, rodent-faced, rat-fink looking dude, right? Be like one of those dudes, and he'll always have like a long kind of face with a pointed nose and like a little pencil mustache, to make him look like a fucking sewer rat. That's Matt Gaetz, you know. He'll have a name like, you know, Freddy Fingers or some shit like that, or Ricky the Rat. That's fucking Matt Gaetz, right? Matt Gaetz wants to be Donald Trump's Ratfink henchman, right? Like there was a stunt where during the before the impeachment actually started, when they were doing the investigation, the House was doing an investigation, and there was a intelligence committee that was deposing witnesses, and they were doing it in an area that was classified. You know, like basically it was an area where you bring people so that they can divulge classified information to people that have clearance, and you don't have to worry about it getting out, right? And Matt Gaetz led a bunch of Republicans and broke into that hearing. I don't know if you remember this. You remember, like, he got a bunch of Republicans and he's like, we're going to protest this hearing. And he broke in with their cell phones and shit. And, you know, they're easily hacked cell phones, like, you know, into a fucking classified area, right? And he got away with it. You know, if you were to do that, if you were to go down to the Capitol and break into a classified fucking hearing, you'd go to jail. But he didn't, right? He didn't because he's a goddamn Republican, you know. And I guess the law just doesn't apply to fucking Republicans, does it? You remember that shit? And it was like, and the whole point of it was, you know, we're being shut out of this hearing. But in real life, you know, half the people on the fucking intelligence committee were Republicans. So no, they weren't being shut out. It was a stunt. You know, that's what Matt Gaetz is. Okay, he does stunts and shit like this and media appearances like this to get on Donald Trump's good side, you know, because he wants to fucking, I think, my speculation is because he wants to eventually try to, like, leverage Donald Trump's following for his own presidential run, you know. You got to remember, you know, there's no honor among thieves here. This whole thing is really what can he get out of it. And I think that's what it is. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe he never runs for president, but it kind of looks, all the signs are pointing to it looks like he is. So let's move on here.
Yesterday, Trump...
Well, don't dismiss them. It's the highest concentration of active duty military in the country. And I know Megan's dad served there, so you can tag me if you want.
I'm
Don't
not
tag my
attacking you. I'm
constituents.
Yeah, okay, just one little comment there. You know, why is it that the Republicans always try to monopolize the military, like, support for themselves? Why is that? Since when did the Republicans own the military? Because they always fucking do that. Support our troops and all this other shit. And, you know, we're the real Americans, right? And, you know, like, you hear that, oh yeah, they're military people. And Megan's dad, you know, like Meghan McCain, in case you don't know, is the daughter of John McCain. And her only, like, call to fame at all is the fact that she's the daughter of John McCain. She's, like, not qualified to like, be on TV and talk about politics at all. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, why is that? Why is it that Republicans monopolize, you know, try to monopolize support of the troops? It's bullshit. I mean, it's true that a lot of the armed forces are conservative. That's just the nature of, you know, that's the nature of the armed forces. And it's because, you know why? It's because a lot of conservatives join the armed forces. That's why. Okay, because they see it as, you know, well, actually, the real reason is because it's an easy way to get a job and get money to go to college, right? And a lot of conservatives come from areas of the country that don't really have the same kind of economics as us who live in the big city, right? So they go, well, I can go to college if I go join the army and, you know, be in it for a couple of years and then they get out. Whereas people in the city tend to have higher incomes, right? And they don't really take advantage of that so much. So disproportionate number of people in the army tend to be conservative. And that's just not just, you know, the enlisted people and all that shit, but, like, you know, officers and stuff as well. The career people tend to be conservative, but not all of them are, you know. That's a stereotype. I mean, maybe there's the majority of them are, but not all of them. Okay. I mean, shit. I don't know. That pisses me off when I hear shit like that, okay? Because in real life, you know, they don't support the troops. They don't give a shit about the troops, you know. That reminds me of a story that I read years and years ago where Dick Cheney's company that he, like, left, you know, what were they fucking called? Kellogg or something. I can't remember the name of Halliburton. Dick Cheney's company, Halliburton, was getting no big contracts for the Iraq War. And what they were doing was that they were setting up showers for troops, but they were improperly putting wiring in it because you'd have a shower and you'd have to have a light in it so that you're not, showering in the fucking dark, right? And they weren't doing the wiring correctly, and soldiers kept repeatedly getting electrocuted in the fucking shower. So can you imagine that shit? You join the army, right? You go through all the training, you get deployed to Iraq, you got people shooting at you and all this shit. You survive all of that crap and you die by fucking electrocuting while you're taking a shower. Can you imagine that? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. And that's just an example of, how much Republicans actually, support the fucking troops, which is like very, very little. They don't give a shit about the troops. They use them as props to get elected. And it disgusts me to hear that shit. It's like, get fucked, Matt Gaetz. You fucking asshole. I don't know. Moving on.
Asking you a question.
Okay.
Yesterday, Trump announced he's appointing another loyalist of his, Rick Rennell, as his acting director of national intelligence. But Rennell, as you know, has absolutely no intelligence experience. And he's overseeing all 17 of our intel agencies. He stands between us and the next ISIS attack. And I don't know that it's a smart idea to put somebody who's inexperienced like that, and is also a yes man, in that position. He's going to have to tell Trump things that he's not going to want to hear. You know how he doesn't like that. Trump doesn't like that.
Well, actually, if you look at the team he's assembled with people like John Bolton, the president regularly surrounds himself with people who disagree with him. I think some of the most spirited discussions I've had have been with Lindsey Graham, Rand Paul, myself, and the president discussing foreign policy. But on Rick Rennell, 50 years ago, a gay man or woman would not be able to serve in our intelligence community. There were teams of people who went to find out if people were gay.
Wait a second.
And they would, we'll get into Grinnell's qualifications, but just for a moment, I would like to take a second to reflect on the fact that it's a good thing in this country that we do not ban gay people from being able to patriotically serve in the intelligence community.
All right. Now, take a look at what he just did right there. Okay. She asked, all right, I think that's Joy Behar, is that her name? Asked a very, very good question right there. Donald Trump just appointed a guy to be the chief intelligence, czar, essentially, who has no experience. He just appointed a yes man that, because the guy that is leaving, the guy that he fired told him something he didn't like to hear. Okay. That alone by itself should disqualify Donald Trump from being president. All right. The fact that he can't handle, the truth when it's shit that makes him look bad is like unfucking believable. But anyway, look what he just said though, in response to that. His response was not to talk about the guy's qualifications, because that was the question she asked. Okay. How is this guy qualified? He didn't talk about that. He talked about how he's gay. All right. Why? What does his sexual orientation have to do with his qualifications? Okay. Yeah, it's great that, okay, sure, an openly gay man can serve. Right. But, how come we don't get any gay person in there then? Why don't we get Neil Patrick Harris? He's gay. Can he be the chief intelligence guy now? Right. No, you know why? Because he's not fucking qualified. Okay. And it's basically that's a method of arguing where what he's doing here is that he's attempting to disarm his opponent by making them look homophobic. So now if anybody talks shit about this guy, what's his name, Rennell or whatever, now they can turn around and say, "What are you homophobic now? You don't like gay people?" That's what he's trying to do. Okay, it's basically it's a very sad and transparent attempt to turn turn the left's against itself is basically it, right? The beliefs of the left against itself, and it's transparent and horrible and bullshit, right? And only really stupid people would fall for that. So, of course, now you're going to hear lots of Republicans saying that exact same point. All right, I guarantee you. At some point, you could probably go on Reddit right now and go to the Donald and hear people saying that exact same fucking thing. I guarantee it.
transgendered people.
Well, we shouldn't be banning anybody based on who they are and who they are. That's not the kind of Republican I am, and it's not the kind of Republican the president is.
That's demonstrably false. So I don't know if you heard that, but this lady right here, I can't remember her name, basically said, okay, well, unless you're transgendered, and then he turns around and goes, we shouldn't ban anybody for who they are. That's not the Republican I am or the president is. But in real life, the president is the one who banned transgender people. See, he just lied right now. He just lied to everybody and is quickly changing the subject. See, snake oil salesman. Unbelievable.
So on Rick's qualifications, 8 years at the UN, 2 years in Germany.
Yeah.
He advised the Security Council. And Berlin, where he was active, is one of the hotbeds of intelligence activity. Nothing happens there without the chief of station and the ambassador working together. So Rick Rennell is very qualified.
So
I
you're
think it
saying
is a
he's
breakthrough
qualified.
appointment.
Okay.
Yeah, in real life, all that shit he said those are not qualifications for being the chief, intelligence person, right? Whatever the fuck they did. The chief intelligence officer or whatever this person is. Like, this is the guy, okay, what this guy's job is going to be is to coordinate all of the intelligence from, you got the CIA, and then you got the FBI, and then you got the OSA, and all these other, whatever, Department of Defense intelligence and all whatever fucking alphabet, agencies there are, and get them talking to each other and getting them sharing information. See, if you remember back in 9/11, right, when 9/11 happened, there were various investigations going on for the 9/11 hijackers from different intelligence groups, right? And the problem is that they weren't communicating with each other. So then when the shit happened, it caught everybody with their pants down. And in the years afterwards, it turned out, yes, the FBI were investigating them. Yes, the CIA knew these guys were in the country, right? All this other shit, and no flags got raised. Nobody talked to each other. They didn't realize that, oh, we didn't know that you guys were ready to move in on them or whatever. And that's what this dude's job is going to be, is to make sure shit like that doesn't happen, to make sure that there's good, sharing of intelligence between not just us and our allies, right, but also internally in the country, And so you're basically getting a guy who has no idea what the fuck he's doing. Just being an ambassador, 8 years at the UN, what does that fucking mean? Okay, that means he went and he basically was an ambassador for 8 years. How does that qualify him to be an intelligence officer? Like, does he have any experience in the CIA? Does he have any experience in law enforcement? Has he actually run anything like this before? A government agent? Has he even actually worked in a government agency before? Does he know the culture? Does he know how it works? Does he know what the laws are? No, he doesn't, okay? Because he's a fucking yes man. And this appointment of this guy Rennell is making the country unsafe, okay? It will be less safe after this guy takes over than it was before. And it's just a miracle so far in the last 3 years that we haven't had a 9/11 style attack yet in this country. Each day that goes by going forward, that chance is going to get higher and higher and higher. And I'm just praying to whatever God is out there that shit doesn't happen. I mean, that's really all we can fucking do, because our systems of checks and balances are effectively broken right now. And look at Whoopi's face. She's not buying it. Nobody else on that stage is buying it either, because it's a load of fucking shit. We all know it. Matt Gaetz fucking knows it. He's lying to you. Anyway, moving on. Because they're going to talk about pardons here in a second, so let's go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Germany, by the way, I was reading about him. They think he's very thin-skinned, but that's another story.
Well, I mean, this is the view, aren't we all?
Ha 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 ha. Fuck you. God. I don't know. I think if you put his face next to Ted Cruz's face, it would be very, very hard to decide which one to punch first. Maybe him. Just look how smug he is. Look how fucking smug. Look at him. He's like, he knows that he's, God. You know what he is? He's a walking forum troll. That's what he is. Anyway.
I have another question for you.
No, not.
And you know what? And I think it is just. I think we agree on this. About pardon power. Now, the president has been on a pardon spree, and many think he's about to pardon Roger Stone, his longtime friend and one-time campaign advisor, who's being sentenced, I think, any minute now. They're in a break. for crimes of obstructing justice, witness tampering, lying to Congress. Do you think Trump should pardon Roger Stone?
I do, and I think that it requires a review of the pardon power.
Come on.
Barack Obama pardoned over 1,700 people. Bill Clinton pardoned 459 people. Bill Clinton pardoned 16 people who were a member of a Puerto Rican terrorist organization that planned murders in the Bronx Tavern here in the United States of America.
Perhaps that wasn't the right thing to do.
When we designed our Constitution, there were vestiges of the British monarchy that Americans still had some reverence for, and one was the notion that the executive, that the sovereign could extend unlimited grace for any reason or no reason at all. That was an element of the British system that I was saying was borrowed.
No, I understand.
All right. I can't go on. I have to stop this. Okay. All right. It's frustrating because there's so much bullshit. I need some coffee first. Sorry, guys. It's a little early in the morning here. Oh, where to fucking begin? Where to begin? He is correct when he says that the pardon power is a vestige of the British system. Right. But he's incorrect when he says that that this was the intended use. Okay. The intended use of the pardon power was essentially, the idea was that in case of a resurrection or a revolt, the president could then smooth things over by pardoning people that led the revolt. So the idea was that, say there's a civil war, which actually happened, and we, defeat whatever state that's trying to break off, in order to heal the nation, they could offer clemency to the people, surrender now and you'll be pardoned, right? That's the idea. There was actually, because he just talked about the Federalist Papers and all this other shit, I recommend everybody read those, all right? I mean, I haven't even read all of them myself, but they do give a lot of insight in what the Founding Fathers actually thought, and a lot of the arguments they had, okay? Because in real life, a lot of the Founding Fathers didn't want there to be pardon powers at all. Because if you think about it, what does a pardon do? It means that, okay, the evidence has been presented, this person has gone to a jury, their peers, right? And the jury has been convinced that this evidence is sufficient in order to convict this guy. So he did it, right? And then the president just shows up and goes, nah, let him go. Undoes all of that. So now you have a guy who actually committed the crime running around free, claiming that he's been exonerated. But in real life, see, the pardon actually means that you accept the fact that you're guilty, but you've just been pardoned. So you're a fucking criminal. You got away with it. That's what a pardon is. Okay. And it really shows who Donald Trump has been pardoning. He pardoned what's his name, Blagojevich, right? Who was the Democratic governor of Illinois who tried to sell Barack Obama's, fucking Senate seat. Why'd he pardon that guy? Right? Why did he do it? Because he wanted a high-profile Democrat so that he can claim to be impartial for when he turns around and pardons Roger fucking Stone. That's why. Okay. Everything, see, that, and he's basically using the pardon power for his own political gain, right? And there were specific arguments against that happening, okay, by our Founding Fathers. In fact, I have right here an article. Let me switch over to this. This is from Brookings Institute, talking about the origins of the original intent of the pardon power. And I want to read this section here, okay, because this is, 1788, so they haven't even ratified the Constitution yet. All right. And here we go. I'm going to read this to you guys. All right. On the afternoon of Wednesday, June 18th, 1788, George Mason rose from his chair on the floor of the Virginia Ratifying Convention, deeply troubled by what he thought of the convention's failure to understand. The President of the United States might not always be someone of sound character and high intelligence. Right. There would be rarely, if ever, he reminded the delegates, be a commander-in-chief with the courage and rectitude displayed by George Washington during the War of Independence. There might even be a president who would try to change our form of government. The president, argued Mason, ought not to have the power of pardoning, because he may frequently pardon crimes which were advised by himself. It may happen at some future day that he will establish a monarchy, right, and destroy the republic. If he has the power of granting pardons before indictment or conviction, he may not stop inquiry and prevent detection. The case of treason ought at least to be accepted. This is a weighty objection with me. Right. I mean, that sounds a little all too relevant to what's going on today, doesn't it? The president is just, he's using his power of his office to investigate his political opponents, to stop investigations of his friends and of himself, and using the Department of Justice in order to get his friends lighter sentences, and is setting up to pardon them completely so that they can all get away scot-free. That's exactly what's going on right now. And, Matt Gaetz is just basically, that line that Matt Gaetz gave, that's the official Republican response when anyone objects to this fucking malarkey, to these shenanigans. And when people protest this and say what a load of fucking shit it is, that's going to be their response. I guarantee you when it happens, because it's going to happen, Donald Trump is most likely going to pardon Roger Stone, most likely before he leaves office, right? If he doesn't win the election, he'll do it before he leaves office, right? But he's probably going to do it after the election, and it's sickening. It's sickening to see, here you go, this guy right here. Look where my mouse is. Look at his fucking face. That's the guy. That he's one of these people. These people like him. They're destroying our fucking country. Jesus Christ. It's just so, I don't know. And I think that's really why I wanted to comment on this, because like I said at the beginning, he really is the reason why I will probably never vote Republican in my entire life. Ever. Okay? As long as guys like him are in that party, forget it. I'm never going to vote Republican, because because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. This guy has no integrity. He just lied to us like 7 times during the course of this video. He doesn't give a shit about people. He doesn't care about any, democracy or the rule of law or the Constitution, right? Or anything. All he's really doing is setting himself up to try to take power himself. He's basically trying to get the credentials so that he can manipulate Trump's base, And please, if any of you out there are Trump supporters, remember, they don't care about you, right? They think you're stupid. Okay, that's why he can lie to you like this, with that smug look in his face, right? Because he doesn't care, right? Because to him, you're just a resource to be used. Okay, just remember that shit. He's using you. You're not gonna get anything you want. You think they're gonna outlaw abortion? They're never gonna fucking do that. Never, right? You think the jobs are coming back? Not if this guy's in charge. He doesn't give a fuck about the jobs anyway, right? He'll care about, if you have a lot of money, he'll cut your taxes. Keep that in mind. I don't know. Anyway, so to sum up, Matt Gaetz is basically, he's like a forum troll that got elected. If you were to go on the Donald right now and see a username, say, oh, I don't know, Pussy Grabber 1488 or something like that, and if you were to take that forum troll and put a face on it and get him elected to the House of Representatives, it'd be, Matt Gaetz. That's who he is. He's basically just a slimy, disgusting, lying, two-faced forum troll scumbag, right? Who should be out there, he should be selling, water filtration systems door to door. That's what this guy should be doing. Somehow he became a fucking, rep, House rep, senator, whatever the fuck. I guess they call them representatives. I don't know. And anyway, the people in Florida, before we cut it, unelect this fucking guy, please. Seriously, this is the guy that's representing you? Come on. Get a fucking brain, you assholes. I don't know. Republicans, please stop being so fucking stupid. Anyway, that's all I got. Everyone's insane. Adios.